Hello everyone, just going to say it outright, if you've been waiting for a real winter. Kind people still talk about years later, this could finally be the one. As I sift through the incoming data. The long-range ensembles, the analog seasons. The teleconnection signals 1 year keeps shouting back at me, 2013, and trust me, that's not a comparison I make lightly, because the winter of 2013 was one of the most punishing. Relentless snow producers the United States has witnessed in the last 2 decades. But based on everything I'm seeing for late November through February, the same fingerprints are showing up again. We're talking widespread, above normal snowfall across a massive stretch of the country. Arctic air masses diving far enough south to lock everything in place. And storm systems that don't simply pass through, they regenerate, reload, and slam back again. The transformation begins within days. This isn't something way off in the distance. Winter chill is poised to invade the Midwest and Great Lakes in under a week, and that's the first domino. Once that cold establishes itself, the entire pattern flips. Late November is typically when most years are still clinging to the last remnants of mild air, but not this time. This year, the snow engine looks ready to start early. And once it fires up, it may not shut down until March. Yes, March, now. Let's talk regions, because everyone wants the real question answered. How much snow are we actually looking at? I'll give you numbers, but keep this in mind, these projections are already above average. These aren't worst-case scenarios. These are my middle-range expectations, and they're still impressive. Pacific Northwest, a strong jet will drive early moisture straight into Washington and Oregon. Seattle could stack up 8 to 12 inches this winter, not in isolated bursts, but through a steady series of systems. Portland is in the 5 to 10 inch range, roughly double a normal year. But the Cascades are the real show. If you're skiing at Mount Baker, Crystal Mountain, or Timberline. Don't be surprised if totals climb past 600 inches, potentially pushing 700 if deep cold lingers into February. Opening parenthesis, and by the way, you want a custom forecast for your city? Drop it in the comments. I'll reply individually as time allows. Also, liking the video and subscribing to the channel helps more than you know. California, the Sierra Nevada is setting off the same Q2013 signals I keep noticing in the models. Expect 350 to 450 inches in the high Sierra. It's more than enough to force mountain pass closures multiple times this season. The Rockies, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado. Anyone living at elevation should prepare for a winter measured by how many times their snowblower needs an oil change. Denver could reach 60 inches above normal, but not outrageous. But the foothills and Summit County ski regions, they could flirt with 300 inches. Salt Lake City looks primed for 80 to 100 inches, especially if a mid-January atmospheric river taps into entrenched cold air. Northern Plains and Upper Midwest, this is where things start to look truly intense. The northern tier could become ground zero for early season snow from late November into early December. The same Great Lakes snow pipeline that buried regions in 2013 appears ready to reactivate. Fargo, Bismarck, Minneapolis, Duluth, these cities may see 60 to 75 inches, a full foot above average for some locations. And if the lakes remain unfrozen during even one major lake effect outbreak, add another 10 inches to that tally. I'm watching late November closely. I wouldn't be surprised if Minneapolis logs measurable snow before Thanksgiving. And speaking of lake effect, Buffalo, brace yourself. Every time I revisit this pattern, it practically shouts the same message: wide open lake water, incoming Arctic air, and a stubborn west wind locked in place. That is the classic setup. If you lived through 2013, or remember the towering lake effect walls of snow in 2014, you know exactly what this can bring. I'm calling for 90 to 120 inches in Buffalo this winter. Okay. And if one dominant band stalls over the South towns again, someone could easily surpass 150 inches. Cleveland sits in the 75 to 90 inch range, especially if December delivers heavy snow before Lake Erie fully freezes. Detroit, Chicago, Milwaukee, each falls somewhere between 35 and 55 inches, depending on how the storms track. And let me say this plainly. The Ohio Valley and Great Lakes are absolutely packed with storm energy this year. if you live in Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, or Michigan. This winter may feel like the calendar simply refuses to move forward towards spring. Then we shift into the Northeast, and I'll be completely honest. This looks like a true East Coast battleground winter. If the cold presses far enough south, we're looking at multiple full-scale nor'easters instead of sloppy rain events. Boston is on my watch list. I'm projecting 45 to 60 inches, potentially more if we land a couple blockbuster coastal storms. New York City sits in the 22-30 inch zone, but one perfectly timed coastal low with entrenched cold air could double that total in a single weekend. Philadelphia looks like 12 to 18 inches, though one major system could blow past that in just 48 hours. Washington, D.C. will run warmer overall, but still 8 to 15 inches, which is above average for them. And I fully believe at least one significant East Coast snowstorm will hit between mid-January and mid-February. Now, let's talk about the South and Southeast. Because people there always ask, are we getting anything this year? And the answer is, yes. I expect at least one legitimate southern snow event. Nashville could see 6 to 10 inches for the season. Louisville might collect 10 to 14 even. Atlanta could get flurries or a light glaze of ice once or twice. I'll repeat of 2014, but enough to get people talking. The real wild card is the Texas Panhandle and Oklahoma, if the storm track lines up just right. Amarillo and Tulsa could be staring at 20 inches or more. Now, the question everyone asks, how cold will it actually get? Here's the simple truth: if you have a heavy winter coat, you're going to use it. The setup we're entering repeatedly drags Arctic air deep into the heart of the country, especially in December and January. I wouldn't be shocked to see wind chills plunging into the -20s across the Dakotas and Minnesota more than once. Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, I fully expect sub-zero nights, possibly multiple stretches of them, even down into Texas. I see at least one powerful cold blast sending nighttime temperatures into the teens. And all of this begins soon. By the end of November, colder air is already surging. If you live in the Midwest or Great Lakes, you will feel winter's arrival before Thanksgiving. Maybe not with the biggest snow yet, but with a type of cold that tells you the season is shifting fast. Then the build begins. December is when the snow machine revs. January is when things could turn truly epic. February hangs on longer than usual. I don't think widespread snowfall eases until March, and in some places, March. So when people ask me, is this winter really going to resemble 2013? I'd say yes lightly. But based on everything I'm seeing, the cold air delivery, the storm track alignment, the precipitation anomalies, the ocean patterns, this is the closest match we've had in more than a decade. I'm not saying every storm will hit, and I'm not saying every city will get buried. But if you love winter, if you love true snowstorms, this could be the season you look back on and say, yeah, I remember that one. That was the winter when it just never stopped snowing. And let me leave you with this: don't wait until January to prepare. The cold arrives this month. Winter isn't waiting for the calendar this year. If you'd like a personalized forecast for your region or city, drop it in the comments. I'll reply individually as time allows. Commenting is completely free. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.